What allegedly happened inside a Boise elementary school bathroom has now led to a $50 million legal claim. I'm neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker sitting down exclusively with the mother about the disturbing allegations involving her 8-year-old son.
He doesn't understand what happened to him. He doesn't want to go to school because he thinks everybody's mean. And that's really hard for me to hear because he is such a kind, sweet person.
This Boise mom says her son's entire view of friendship and trust changed after what he finally revealed just before finishing 4th grade.
He came out and told me essentially that one of his friends had assaulted him.
She says it happened more than once, in a bathroom at Hillcrest Elementary. She believes school staff knew about problematic behavior but failed to act or notify families.
He was groping other children at school. That was a regular issue that the SRO was aware of.
The tort claim filed just this week outlines concerns that the school district acted negligently, failed to report abuse, and violated her son's constitutional rights. The document states the assaults took place in a bathroom with no adult monitoring, despite prior knowledge that one of the boys involved had behavioral issues.
He had assaulted him and essentially was using scare tactics and control mechanisms to keep him under control so he didn't tell anybody.
The tort claim asks the district for $50 million in damages. The mother tells me she's now considering homeschooling her son as a result of the heavy financial and emotional toll.
I decided to just do Uber and Lyft because it's more flexible so that I can homeschool my son. And that's going to take a cut from my pay. Like, there's just all sorts of things that are going to be, and he's going to have lifelong problems.
Through her legal action, she says she's pushing for more than just a settlement. She wants systematic change and accountability.
I mean, we shouldn't have to worry about sending our kids to school and then being assaulted.
A spokesperson for the Boise School District tells Idaho News 6, quote, "While we will not discuss pending litigation at this time, we want to reassure our families that the safety and well-being of our students and staff remain our highest priority. We are committed to transparency and will continue to uphold the standards our community expects from us." The tort claim could lead to a lawsuit, and it's one of several the district has faced this year. We will continue to bring you coverage on this right here on Idaho News 6. I'm neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker, Idaho News 6. It's an outcome years in the making. Brian Koberger sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. I'm downtown Boise neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker, and the murder case that once gripped the nation is coming to a close, and the media circus is starting to pack up. But I was inside the courthouse on Wednesday as the emotional final chapter played out. Inside the courtroom, before a word was even spoken, you could hear the pain.
What happened that night changed everything. Because of him, 4 beautiful, genuine, compassionate people were taken from this world for no reason.
Dylan Mortensen, one of the 2 surviving roommates, began her statement in tears, hyperventilating as she faced the man now convicted of upending her world. For the first time since the attack, we heard words from both roommates, offering long-awaited answers.
I had to sleep in my mom's bed because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Terrified that if I blinked, someone might be there.
So much mystery surrounded that morning, many wondering why it took hours to call 911.
I woke up around 7 with a terrible toothache, so I called my dad, who is a dentist. I was still out of it and still didn't know what happened. That was the worst day of my life, and I know it always will be.
Bethany Funk's statement, read by a close friend, described her confusion that morning, her enduring guilt, and the relentless online harassment that followed. She also revealed the fear that has gripped her ever since. Then Mortensen took to the podium, her voice trembling as she shared the lasting trauma of what she survived.
He took away who they were becoming and the futures they were going to have. But I'm still trying, and I'm not trying just for me. I'm trying for them, my friends. He will stay here, empty, forgotten, and powerless.
As their words echoed through the courtroom, all eyes turned to Brian Koberger, sitting silently and stone-faced as the courtroom echoed with raw grief and anguish. Koberger never offered an apology, an explanation, or little more than a glance towards the victims' families. Just feet behind him sat his mother and sister, both present for the sentencing. Neither addressed the court, and the defense declined to take questions, a stark contrast to the outpouring of emotion from the other side of the courtroom. And in a long-awaited news conference after the hearing, officials answered questions that have loomed since November 13th of 2022.
Do you have a motive? We don't, to this date, found a single connection between him and any of the 4 victims or the 2 surviving roommates.
Investigators also revealed that despite rigorous efforts, they never found the murder weapon, but they did seem to confirm that Kaylee Gonzalez was stabbed 34 times. They say they monitored Koberger's jail calls, but found nothing of value. Investigators adding that his family never offered any evidence or tips for the investigation, and his demeanor when arrested, calm and relaxed. And if not for the knife sheath, they believe they still would have found him by tracking the white Elantra. In the end, prosecutors argued no words from Koberger would offer clarity or truth.
I don't believe that there's anything that would come out of his mouth that would be the truth.
Judge Hippler echoed that, sharply condemning Koberger before locking him away for good.
His grotesque acts of evil have buried and hidden anything that might have been good or intrinsically human about him. I remand the defendant to the custody of the Idaho State Board of Corrections for to be imprisoned in an appropriate facility and execution of the sentence where he will remain until he dies.
You can find continued coverage on police reports and new evidence and the emotional family testimony on IdahoNews6.com. I'm downtown Boise neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker, Idaho News 6. A new federal lawsuit filed against the Idaho Department of Correction alleges leaders retaliated against a correctional officer who has since been fired after he reached out to Idaho News 6. I'm neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker, and I was the first to report on those concerns regarding inmate mail and medical forms allegedly ending up in the trash. Now I'm named in the lawsuit as one of the journalists former correctional officer Scotty Amos turned to when he says no one inside IDOC would listen. The federal lawsuit, formally filed this week, accuses the Idaho Department of Correction of punishing whistleblower Scotty Amos, a former officer at ISCC south of Boise, who claims he lost his job after going public about what he saw behind closed doors, alleging inmates' health service requests, grievance forms, and personal mail were regularly discarded in shredding bins and trash cans. I spoke exclusively with Amos's lawyer, Dan Kalish, about his client's concerns.
A lot of those weren't going to where they should be going. Once there was a person who was actually left out in the cold and who was shivering. So he noticed all of these things. He ended up sort of reporting them. That didn't go anywhere. So although it wasn't in his job duties to report this, he ended up going to you, Miss Shoemaker, and he ended up getting fired basically as a result of that.
Amos alleges he discovered patterns of neglect, including that inmate allegedly forgotten outside in freezing temperatures, and mail never delivered to inmates or their loved ones.
He literally found them in recycling and shredding bins. He went up the chain, he did everything he could, and no one was listening to him.
Amos says after internal complaints were ignored, he contacted Idaho News 6 and argues he was then terminated without notice, violating his First Amendment rights.
We think he had a legal right to go to the press to discuss some of the corruption that he was seeing, and he got fired as a result.
IDOC has not yet responded to our request for comment. This is the latest development in a months-long investigation I've been following on various issues within the Idaho Department of Correction, including my report on the correctional officer charged with having a sexual relationship with an inmate. I've also received dozens of letters from IDOC inmates, many echoing the same allegations of destroyed mail and mistreatment. You can find my full reports, official documents, and continuing coverage of these issues within IDOC in this story on IdahoNews6.com. I'm neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker, Idaho News 6.